Hey everyone, how are you? Welcome to the live dot along today. We are using this color palette here to be inspired. Of course, you can change the colors if you want to, or if you want to use the exact same colors, I'll let you know what I'm using. So I do have mine mixed up here, but part of this I wanted to show you how to mix up the background color. This is what I'm going to use for the background. It's kind of a muted grape and I absolutely love it. So I've got my colors here. I'm going to be using Vivid Violet, and then this is just Vivid Violet plus white. And then here I've got Cadmium Yellow and Cadmium Yellow plus white. Of course, you can use any violet and yellow and just add white. And then a lot of times I will have people ask me how to get really pretty muted palettes, because when you buy paint colors, they're very saturated and bright, and that doesn't always, match your home decor or the vibe that you're going for. And so I just kind of wanted to show you what happens when you mix up some of these muted colors. So for the background, I've got this Dioxazine purple. Okay, and in order to make this a little more muted, what you want to do is add gray. So if you've got a medium gray available, you can just add a little bit of gray and that'll mute that down for you. And so I'm going to show you what happens here when we add this gray. So if I pull this over, I've got this purple and I add that gray to it. It's really going to neutralize that color, but it definitely still keeps it purple. So this is probably equal parts here, gray and purple. And we get a nice muted color. Of course, you can always add more gray. So here's a more gray version. Now, if you don't have gray, you can always mix your own gray with white and black. You would not be mixing equal parts because the black is a much stronger pigment. And so let me show you here how I can get a nice medium gray. Oops, probably should do the white first. All right, so you want mostly white and then just a pinch of black. And that's where you're going to start from. And you'll see the black takes over really easily. And this is not quite medium, but I'm almost there. So I can add another pinch of black. And now I've got a nice medium gray. And this will do the same thing. So if you don't have gray to pull from, just mix your own gray and then add it in. And I'll show you what happens. Let me pick a different color here. To this, well, that one's not open. I keep picking paint bottles that aren't open. See if I can get some green out here. We'll mute this green a little bit. So this is a nice bright color. And if I add it to this gray, of course I'm not using green today, but there. So we've just got kind of a nice muted sagey green. So this is how you can get some of those colors that maybe are difficult to find in the bottle, or if you don't want to buy 9 million bottles, how you mix them up. So you create a gray. If you want to lighten the color, you would add light gray. If you want to darken the color, you would add dark gray. All right, I'm going to mute here for just a second. Go ahead and paint your background color. I'm using this Dioxazine purple mixed with neutral gray. I'll give everybody a minute to do that, and you'll want to get your stencil on there. I'm using a 16 arm stencil from Happy Dotting. This is the one I use most often. I'll give everybody a minute or two to do that, and then we will get started. All right, I'm going to get started. So oops, sorry, bumped the camera there. Just to give you a little disclaimer, this week we just welcomed a new doggie to our family. And so we've got chaos going on in our house. My daughter just pulled in the driveway. And so she's going to come in the house here in a second, and it's going to be loud and things are going to go bonkers. So when that happens, I'm going to go ahead and mute. But what I'm envisioning for this is maybe some oval dots. So if you don't have an oval dotting tool, a pencil eraser will work. Oh, here's that craziness I was talking about. So if you have a pencil eraser like this, that... Oh, so here's my buddy. His name is Sammy. He talks a lot. He's very vocal. But yeah. It's okay. It's okay. I know she's got bad timing, don't she? Alright. Hopefully that'll solve that problem. Sorry about that. Anyway, so ovals, you can use a pencil eraser, or I know there are some companies that do have oval tools. And if you have one of those, you can grab one of those as well. But I am going to use some ovals. And what I'm picturing in my head, when we do these paint-alongs, the idea here is just to make time for yourself to go ahead and make some dots and start painting and get some relaxation and have a good time. So you don't have to do exactly as I'm doing. You don't have to do as I'm doing at all. The idea here is to take inspiration from the color palette and just kind of have a good time. So you can change up the design if you want to use, I've got a 16 arm stencil. You could use a 12 arm stencil. Where I do walking the dots, you could do swoops or swipes. So please feel free to change it and have fun. But I'm going to go ahead and start with my center dot, and I'm going to use a 10 millimeter tool. I'm going to call this violet, and then light violet, yellow, and then light yellow. So I'm going to do 10 millimeters with my light violet in the center. I gave that one a little extra squish because I had a bubble. So mine might be closer to 11, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to use my oval tool. This one is my oval number 4. It's small. If you want to use dots for this part, you can use dots for this part. I'm going to add some small ovals around the center dot here. My goal is to end up with 16, so I'm going to do 8, and then I'll add 8 more in between these sections. Usually when I'm dotting, I try to do the lines that I've marked first. That helps me stay centered. And then I'll go back through and put the ones in the middle. All right, so we did light violet and then violet. I'm going to do light yellow and then yellow next. I'm going to do a row of dots. Let's see, I'm going to use a 4mm tool and my light yellow. And I'm going to add a dot, and this will fall right on this guideline for me. So I'm going to do north, south, east, west. I'll do those points in between. So that gives me 8, and then I'm going to add the ones in between there, and that will give me 16. Because I created on the lines for both of these rows, there is a space in between. So I'm going to get my stylus tool. I'm going to use 1.5mm, and I'm going to use my light violet. And I'm just going to add a dot right in between these sections. So centered in between, like offset in the middle. This is not the most geometrically correct design I've ever done. That's okay. I'm just going to roll with it. All right, for the next row or next ring, I'm going to use a slightly larger oval tool. So again, you can totally use a pencil eraser. Pencil eraser will give you a slightly bigger oval, but it will work just the same. I'm going to use yellow, and I'm going to do these in the spaces. So previous couple rows were on the lines. I'm going to do the spaces for this one. Hopefully, by adding this ring here, I'll get things kind of back on track. I was a little wobbly with the first couple of rows. If you don't have an oval tool, you can totally always use circles. So I did 16 ovals. I'm going to use my 4mm tool and light violet. And I'm going to put 16 dots on the lines. This brings me to my second ring. So I'm going to put them right on that ring. And I've got a lot of space in between those, so I'm going to get my 2mm tool, and I'm going to use this, well, I'm going to use light yellow. So I'm going to dot in between each of these. So in the spaces, 2mm, light yellow. All right. So I don't pre-plan these when I do dot alongs. I just kind of go with it and see where it takes me. So I think what I'm going to do now is, I was kind of envisioning in my head lots of petals. So I'm going to get my 6mm tool and I'm going to use my Vivid Violet, 6mm. And in the spaces, I'm going to do 16 dots, and we're going to do petals around those. We're going to get 16 6mm violet dots. I'm going to get my stylus tool, 2.5mm, and I am going to dot in the center of each of these, and then I'm going to swipe on each side, but I'm going to do my dots first. So these are about 2.5mm. I'm making those center dots. Once I get all 16 of those, I'm gonna dip and swoop on each side. I'm gonna do this all the way around. Some of these are a little short, so I'm just gonna adjust them a pinch. I like to go ahead and finish sometimes all the way around, because sometimes when you finish, your eye really doesn't catch it quite as much as when you're creating it. All right, next I am going to use the light yellow 8mm tool, and instead of 16, I'm going to go with 8 dots. So this is going to go on every other line, so not in the spaces, on the lines. I don't know. This feels like a lot of space to fill. I think I am going to go 16. Wasn't going to do 16, but now I am. So 16 dots on the lines. I really like the ring I did with the petals with the swooshes, and so I think I'm going to stick with 16. I think this whole pattern is going to be 16s. There we go. For my first petals, I am going to do a 3mm center dot, and then I'm going to walk the dots on each side. I'm going to go around with 3mm with my yellow. Once I have all my center dots, I'm going to use my 2.5mm end, and I'm just going to walk the dots on each side. I can fit 6 dots comfortably, so that's what I'm going to stick with. 6 on each side. Of course, it depends on how close together you put them. I'm going to do another row on these petals. This time I'm going to go back to the light yellow. I'm going to use, what am I going to do? I think I'm going to stick with a 3mm. If I can find it. So my center dot, I'm going to do 3mm. Previously I did a stylus tip. I'm going to do the same size. I'm just going to use a flat tool. And I'm going to do light yellow for the centers. So this is 3mm, light yellow. And then on each side, instead of walking the dots, I'm going to swipe again. I'm going to use my 2.5mm tool. So I'm just going to dip and swoop, dip and swoop. Let's see, I might have to double swoop. These are a bit longer. Yeah, these are going to have to be double swoops. Dip, and I'll go halfway and then all the way. Dip, halfway, and then all the way. Some of these aren't even going. There we go. So I went all the way around with that. I will mention, if you've gotten this far in the live tonight, or if you're watching on the replay, if you find value in these dotting workshops, I would love it if you would hit that like button. I'm not the best at self-promotion when it comes to YouTube, and it really does make a difference on the platform as far as reach and engagement. So if you would do that, I would super appreciate it. I'm going to do one more petal. This time I'm going to go up to a 4mm center, and I'm going to go back to my dark yellow. So I'm going to do 4mm centers all the way around, and this time I'm going to walk the dots again. right, so I've got my lavender dots. I'm going to use my 3mm tool to walk, so I'm going to dip and walk on each side. And I think the way I'm going to finish this off is I'm going to create kind of a line that comes out from between here. So I'm just going to use my chalk pencil and just quickly sketch that on. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just want to give my eye the correct placement, since I didn't go to the edge with my stencil. And what I'm going to do is every other line I'm going to switch between my purple. So I'm going to start with my violet, and I'm going to do just a walking the dots. Let's do 4 dots. I'm going to skip a line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip a line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Skip a line. This is my 3mm stylus and violet. So I'll end up with 8 violet, and then I'm going to go and do the same thing with my light violet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think this is where I am going to end for tonight. I'm going to let this dry, and I probably will come back and do some top dots, and I'm going to top dot with my background color. So I'm going to mix some of that up a little later when this dries, and I might add some top dots with that. I would love it if you participated, if you would share with me in the Mandala Creators USA group. Let us know if you changed the pattern, if you changed the colors. I'd love to see what you made. I'm going to continue doing these live dot alongs every 2 weeks. So go ahead and follow me on Facebook, follow me on YouTube, and I'll keep posting. Thanks for joining, everyone, and I will see you next time. Good night, everyone.